I married the most dangerous man in Italy, not for love, not by choice, because of a debt my father couldn't pay. And in the first 24 hours of my marriage, I understood why everyone trembles when they hear his name. Let me tell you something about fear, real fear, not the kind you feel watching horror movies or walking alone at night. I'm talking about the fear that lives in your bones, the fear that makes grown men fall silent when a name is spoken, the fear that changes the temperature of a room. In Italy, there are many powerful families, many dangerous men, but there is only one name that makes even other mafia dons lower their eyes and speak in whispers. Alessandro Salvatore, the Devil of Florence. They say he's killed over 100 men with his own hands. They say he once burned down an entire rival family's estate with them inside because they disrespected him at a business meeting. They say he doesn't forgive, doesn't forget, doesn't show mercy. They say a lot of things about Alessandro Salvatore, and until 3 days ago, I thought they were all exaggerations. Myths. The kind of legends that grow around powerful men to make them seem more than human. I was wrong. Everything they say about Alessandro Salvatore is true, and some things they don't say, those are even worse. But here's what they don't tell you in the whispered stories. They don't tell you that the Devil of Florence has green eyes that see through every lie. They don't tell you that his voice is soft as silk and twice as deadly. They don't tell you that when he decides he wants something, someone, nothing in this world will stop him from taking it. And 3 days ago, he decided he wanted me. Mi nombre es Isabella Moretti, y esta es la historia de cómo me convertí en la esposa del Don. My name is Isabella Moretti, and this is the story of how I became the Don's wife. Not a love story, at least not at first. This is a story about debt, about power, about the moment your life splits into before and after, and you realize you never had control at all. And if you enjoy stories like this, subscribe and grab your popcorn because it's about to get even darker. This is a story about 24 hours that changed everything. The 24 hours I married the devil and discovered that maybe he wasn't the monster I thought he was, or maybe he was, and I just learned to love monsters. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back. Back to 3 days ago, back to the moment my world ended and began again, back to the night my father destroyed everything. If you're ready for the most twisted, dark romance story you've ever heard, fasten your seatbelts, grab a popcorn, then hit that subscribe button, like this video, and turn on the notifications so that you won't ever miss out on stories like this. It started the way catastrophes always do, quietly, on an ordinary Tuesday evening in Florence. I came home from work around 8 o'clock. I'd spent the day at the Uffizi Gallery restoring a damaged Botticelli, delicate work, requiring patience and precision. My hands smelled like linseed oil and turpentine. My eyes ached from staring through a magnifying glass for hours. I loved my work. Restoring Renaissance paintings was more than a job. It was a calling. Taking something broken, damaged, nearly destroyed, and bringing it back to its original beauty. Making whole what was shattered, finding light in darkness. I didn't know it then, but that skill, seeing beauty in broken things, was exactly why Alessandro Salvatore chose me. Our apartment was in a modest building in the Oltrarno district. 3 bedrooms, old plumbing, narrow stairs, nothing compared to the grand homes of Florence's elite. But it was ours, home to me, my father Marco, and my baby sister Lucia. I opened the door, calling out, "Papa? Lucia? I brought dinner." I stopped. The apartment was dark except for a single lamp in the living room. And in that circle of light, my father sat slumped in his armchair, a bottle of grappa in his hand, tears streaming down his face. "Papa?" I dropped the bag of groceries. "What happened? Where's Lucia?" "At her friend's house." His voice was hoarse, broken. "I sent her away. She shouldn't see me like this." My stomach dropped. I knew that tone, that despair. I'd heard it before years ago when my mother left us, when the gambling debts first started. "What did you do?" I whispered. He looked up at me, and I saw it. The guilt, the shame, the terror. "Isabella, baby, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I could win it back. I thought just one more game, One more hand, and I could fix everything. How much? My voice was cold. I already knew. Deep down, I already knew this was bad. 2 million euros. The world tilted. What? I couldn't breathe. 2 million? Papa, how could you possibly? We don't have that kind of money. No one would loan you that much. I didn't borrow from a bank. He took a shaking drink. I borrowed from. I was at his casino, Vincenzo's. It's owned by. No, I backed away. No, Papa, please tell me you didn't. Alessandro Salvatore, he said the name like a death sentence. I owe Alessandro Salvatore 2 million euros, and the deadline is tomorrow at noon, and if I don't pay. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Everyone in Florence knew what happened to people who owed money to Alessandro Salvatore and couldn't pay. They disappeared, and sometimes weeks later, pieces of them were found, as warnings to others. Oh my God. I sank onto the couch, my legs giving out. Oh my God, how could you be so stupid? How could you? I know, Isabella. Don't you think I know? He was sobbing now, this man who was supposed to protect us. I've destroyed us. I've killed us all. You, me, Lucia, we're all dead because of me. Stop it! My mind was racing. There had to be a way out. There had to be. We'll sell the apartment. Sell everything. It's not enough. Even if we sold everything we own, it wouldn't be a quarter of what I owe. And he doesn't want our apartment. He doesn't want anything we have. Then what does he want? Silence. My father looked at me with eyes full of something worse than fear. Something like apology. Papa, what does he want? I don't know. His men said he would come here tonight to discuss payment options. They said. He swallowed hard. They said the Don always finds a way to collect. Always. Payment options. The words hung in the air like a noose. I thought about my sister. Sweet, innocent Lucia. 16 years old. Still believed in fairy tales. Still trusted that the world was good. I thought about my father. Weak, broken, but still my father. I thought about myself, 24 years old, my whole life ahead of me, a career I loved, freedom, possibilities, and I thought about Alessandro Salvatore, the devil of Florence, the man who always collected his debts. The room was silent except for my father's quiet sobbing and the ticking of the ancient clock on the mantel. Tick, 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 counting down to midnight, to tomorrow, to the moment everything would end. Then we heard it, the sound that made my father's face go white, the sound that made my blood turn to ice, car engines, multiple, expensive, powerful, coming closer, stopping outside our building, car doors opening, closing, footsteps, many footsteps, coming up our stairs. My father stood, swaying, drunk and terrified. It's him! Madonna Santa, it's him! He wasn't supposed to come until tomorrow. I thought we'd have time to run. There's nowhere to run from Alessandro Salvatore, I heard myself say. Knock, knock, knock. 3 measured knocks on our door. Polite, patient, terrifying in their calm. No one moved. Knock, knock, knock. Answer the door, Papa. Isabella, answer it. Running only makes it worse. You taught me that. Face your debts head on. He walked to the door like a man walking to the gallows. And when he opened it, my life as I knew it ended. And something else, something dark and dangerous and intoxicating, began. The first thing I noticed wasn't Alessandro Salvatore himself. It was the silence that came with him. 6 men in dark suits entered our small apartment first. They moved like shadows, professional, efficient, deadly. They didn't pull guns or make threats. They didn't need to. Their presence was threat enough. They positioned themselves around the room, exits covered, windows watched. My father and I were suddenly trapped in our own home. And then he entered. Alessandro Salvatore, Il Diavolo di Firenze, the most dangerous man in Italy. I'd seen pictures. Everyone had. Grainy photos in newspapers, security camera footage on the news. But pictures don't capture presence. They don't capture the way the air changes when certain people enter a room. He was tall, at least 6'2", with the kind of build that spoke of discipline and power. His suit was immaculate, handmade, Italian, probably cost more than everything in our apartment combined. Charcoal gray with subtle pinstripes, white shirt, no tie, top button undone. Casual, comfortable, completely in control. His hair was dark, perfectly styled. His jaw was strong, angular, with a thin scar running from his ear to his chin, a reminder that he'd survived violence that would have killed other men. But it was his eyes that stopped my heart. Green, not the soft green of spring grass, the deep, dangerous green of a forest at night. The kind of green you could get lost in and never find your way out. And those eyes, they swept the room once, cataloging everything, missing nothing. They lingered on my father for a moment. Then they found me, and stopped. I felt that gaze like a physical touch, searching, assessing, claiming. I lifted my chin, refused to look away. If I was going to die tonight, I'd do it with dignity. Something flickered in his expression. Approval, interest? I couldn't tell. When Alessandro Salvatore spoke, his voice was nothing like I expected. Signor Moretti, soft, cultured, absolutely lethal. Good evening. My father was shaking. Don Salvatore, I wasn't expecting you until tomorrow at noon. Yes, I know what we agreed. Alessandro moved into the room like he owned it, like he owned everything. But I find that surprise visits often reveal more truth than scheduled appointments. People have less time to prepare lies. He sat in my father's chair, the chair no one else ever sat in, and crossed his legs, relaxed, a king on a throne. You owe me 2 million euros, Signor Moretti. Do you have it? No, Don Salvatore, but I can get it. I just need time. How much time? Alessandro's tone didn't change, still soft, still deadly. 6 months? A year? I can sell. Everything you own is worth perhaps 200,000 euros, and that's being generous. Even if I gave you 5 years, you couldn't pay a tenth of what you owe. Alessandro leaned forward slightly. So let's not waste time with fantasies. You can't pay. We both know this. Silence. My father collapsed back onto the couch, crying. Then kill me, please. Just kill me, but spare my daughters. They had nothing to do with this, please. Kill you? Alessandro sounded almost amused. Signor Moretti, if I killed everyone who owed me money, I'd be very busy and very bored. Death is easy. I prefer more creative solutions. He stood and walked to the small table where my mother's photograph sat. He picked it up, studied it. Your wife. She left you 7 years ago, I understand. Ran away with a businessman from Milan. You've been alone ever since, raising 2 daughters on your own. That must have been difficult. How do you... I know everything about you, Marco. I know you're a drunk. I know you're weak. I know you've been gambling at my casino for 3 years and losing consistently. I know your elder daughter works at the Uffizi Gallery restoring art. I know your younger daughter wants to be a dancer. I know what you eat for breakfast and what time you go to sleep at night. He set the photo down and turned to face me directly for the first time. I know everything about Isabella, too. My breath caught. He knew my name, of course he did, but hearing it in that soft, dangerous voice made it real, made me real to him. Not just Marco Moretti's daughter, Isabella. You graduated summa cum laude from the University of Florence, Alessandro continued, his eyes never leaving mine. Art history with a specialization in Renaissance restoration techniques. You've worked at the Uffizi for 2 years. Your colleagues call you brilliant, meticulous, passionate about your work. You've never been arrested, never even had a parking ticket. You don't date, don't go to parties. You spend your free time in museums or taking care of your sister. He took a step closer to me. You're 24 years old. You love Caravaggio, the drama, the light and shadow, the humanity in his religious scenes. Your favorite painting is The Calling of St. Matthew. You believe that even damaged art deserves restoration, that broken things can be made beautiful again. Another step. Am I missing anything, Isabella? I couldn't speak. He knew everything, every detail of my life. He'd been watching, learning, preparing, but for what? Don Salvatore, I finally managed. What do you want from my father? From us? Intelligent question. He smiled slightly. Your father owes me something he cannot pay, but I'm a businessman, Isabella. I believe in equivalent exchange. When money isn't an option, we explore other forms of payment. What kind of payment? The kind that benefits both parties. You see, I have a problem. My position as Don requires certain appearances. A wife, for example. A Donna to stand beside me. Someone intelligent, cultured, capable of navigating my world. Someone who understands art, history, tradition. Someone who can restore broken things. The room went silent. No, he couldn't mean. You want me to find you a wife? I asked stupidly. Alessandro's smile widened. No, Isabella. I want you to be my wife. The words hung in the air like a sentence, like a cage door closing. You're insane, I breathed. Am I? He tilted his head. Your father owes me 2 million euros. I'm offering to forgive the entire debt in exchange for your hand in marriage. Seems quite sane to me. Quite generous, actually. Generous? Anger flooded through me. You're buying me like I'm property, like I'm something to be sold. Your father sold you the moment he gambled money he couldn't repay. I'm simply offering to collect in a more civilized manner than most would. His voice got colder. Be grateful, Isabella. Other men in my position would take you without asking, would use you and discard you, would kill your father and your sister as examples. I'm offering marriage, protection, respect, a life most women would kill for. I don't want your life. I don't want you. But you want your family alive. His eyes locked onto mine. And that's what this comes down to, doesn't it? Your father's debt, your sister's safety, your own survival. I'm offering you a choice, Isabella. Marry me, and the debt is forgiven. Your father lives, your sister lives, you live. Quite comfortably, I might add. And if I refuse? The temperature in the room dropped. Alessandro stepped so close I could smell his cologne. Expensive, dark, intoxicating. He leaned down, his mouth near my ear, his voice a whisper only I could hear. Then I'll start with Lucia, your sweet 16-year-old sister. I'll make sure your father watches what happens to her. Then you. Then I'll kill your father last, so he can die knowing he destroyed everyone he loved. Or... He pulled back, looking at me with those terrible green eyes. You can say yes, put on a beautiful dress, walk down an aisle, become my wife, and no one gets hurt, ever. That's the choice, Isabella. Choose. My father was sobbing. Isabella, no, don't do this for me. Shut up, Papa. My voice was surprisingly calm. You've done enough. I looked at Alessandro Salvatore, at the devil of Florence, at the man who held my entire world in his hands. How long do I have to decide? You just did. He smiled, really smiled, and it was beautiful and terrifying. The wedding is tomorrow at 4 p.m. I'll send someone to collect you at dawn to begin preparations. Don't be late, Isabella. I don't tolerate disappointment. He walked to the door, his men falling into formation around him. Then he paused and looked back at me. One more thing. Your sister stays at her friend's house until after the wedding. I don't want her traumatized by all this. She'll be protected by my men. No harm will come to her, or to your father. That's my word, and my word is law in Florence. He studied me for a long moment. I'll see you at the altar, Isabella Moretti, my future wife, my future queen. And then he was gone. The door closed. The cars drove away. The silence returned. I stood in the middle of our small apartment, my father weeping at my feet, and realized I had 18 hours until I became the wife of a monster. 18 hours until my life ended, or began. I didn't know which yet, but I was about to find out. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? In less than a day, I'd walk down an aisle toward a man I didn't know, a man everyone feared, a man who'd bought me like art at an auction. But as I lay in my bed staring at the ceiling, I realized something. Alessandro Salvatore hadn't just chosen me because of my father's debt. He'd been watching me, studying me, learning everything about me. He chose me specifically, deliberately. And I needed to know why. Why did the devil want me as his wife? What did he see in me that made me worth 2 million euros? And most terrifying of all, what would he expect from me once we were married? I had 18 hours to prepare. 18 hours until I became Isabella Salvatore, La Donna of the most dangerous man in Italy. And God help me. I didn't know if I should pray for courage or pray for death. they came for me before sunrise. I was standing at my bedroom window watching the sky turn pink when I heard the cars arrive. Quiet, expensive, inevitable. My father tried to say goodbye. I wouldn't let him. What was there to say? Sorry I sold you to the devil? Have a nice life as a mobster's wife? Some bridges, once burned, stay ash. The man who collected me was older, maybe 60, with silver hair and a kind face that seemed wrong in a Mafia enforcer. He introduced himself as Giorgio, Alessandro's driver. Don Salvatore asked me to make you comfortable, signorina, he said gently. I'll be driving you to the estate. It's about 40 minutes outside Florence. I grabbed my small bag. I'd packed almost nothing, didn't see the point, and followed him to a black Mercedes. The leather seats were butter soft. Classical music played quietly. It felt like being driven to a funeral. My own. Giorgio, I said as we left Florence behind, how long have you worked for him? For Alessandro? 23 years, signorina, since he was a boy. Then you knew him before he became... the Don. Giorgio's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. I knew him when he was young, when he still smiled easily, when he still believed in love. That was before... He stopped himself. Before what? It's not my place to say, signorina, but the Don is not what people think. He's harder, colder, but underneath... Giorgio sighed. You'll see. Give him a chance, that's all I ask. Give him a chance. The man who'd bought me like property. But something in Giorgio's voice made me curious. There was affection there, loyalty that went beyond fear. What kind of monster inspired that? We drove through Tuscan countryside as the sun rose. Rolling hills, vineyards, cypress trees, beautiful, peaceful, wrong for what was about to happen. Then we turned down a private road, through iron gates, and I saw it. Alessandro's estate. It was a palazzo. A genuine Renaissance palazzo, the kind you visit on museum tours. 3 stories of honey-colored stone, elaborate windows, a fountain in the circular drive, gardens stretching as far as I could see. Beautiful, priceless, a work of art. Welcome to Villa Salvatore, Giorgio said. Your new home. Home. The word felt like a lie. We pulled up to the front entrance where a woman waited. Older, maybe 55, with steel gray hair pulled back severely, dressed in all black. Her face was stern but not cruel. I am Signora Russo, she said as I stepped out of the car. The housekeeper. I manage the Don's household. You will answer to me regarding domestic matters. The Don expects perfection in his home. I trust you can provide it. I'll try, I said, too tired to be intimidated. Something flickered in her expression. Approval? Good, come. We have much to do and little time. The ceremony is in 9 hours. She led me inside and I forgot to be frightened. The interior was breathtaking. Frescoed ceilings, marble floors, and everywhere, art. Renaissance paintings lined the walls. Sculptures stood in alcoves. Every corner held something priceless. The Don is a collector, Signora Russo said, watching my reaction. He has one of the finest private collections in Europe. He's very particular about their care. These should be in museums, I whispered, stopping in front of a Titian. This is museum-quality work. The Don believes art should be lived with, not merely observed. He says museums make art dead. In homes, art lives. I couldn't argue with that philosophy. Still, seeing such treasures in a Mafia Don's home felt wrong. Shouldn't evil men collect evil things? Signora Russo led me upstairs to a suite of rooms. The bridal suite, you'll prepare here. I'll send women to help with hair, makeup, dressing. The Don has left specific instructions. Of course he has, I muttered. She almost smiled. He is particular, but he is also fair. Give him no reason to be displeased, and you'll find him quite generous. I'm sure. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. Signora Russo paused at the door. I know you didn't choose this child, but you're here now. You can make this a prison or a palace. The choice is yours. I suggest you choose wisely. She left me alone in the most beautiful room I'd ever seen. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking gardens. A four-poster bed that looked like it belonged in a Renaissance painting, silk curtains, an ensuite bathroom with marble and gold, luxury I'd never imagined, and on a dress form in the corner, the wedding gown. I walked over slowly, terrified to touch it. It was vintage, 1920s by the style, Italian lace so fine it looked like spiderweb, hand-embroidered, tiny pearls sewn into the bodice, the kind of dress you see in museums with a do not touch sign. There was a card attached. I opened it. In elegant masculine handwriting. This was my grandmother's. She wore it when she married my grandfather in 1921. It's been in the family for 4 generations. I want you to wear it. I want you to be part of this family. D. I stared at the card, at the dress, at everything. He wanted me to wear his grandmother's dress. A family heirloom. This wasn't just a business transaction to him. This meant something. But what? Why would the devil of Florence want me, a nobody art restorer, to marry him wearing his grandmother's priceless vintage gown? It's beautiful, isn't it? I spun around. A young woman stood in the doorway, maybe 30, elegant, kind-faced. I'm Valentina. I'm here to help you prepare. Hair, makeup, whatever you need. Don Salvatore wants you to look perfect. Don't I get a say in what I look like? Valentina smiled gently. Of course. He was very clear. Make Isabella comfortable, make her beautiful, yes, but in her own way, not his way, your way. That wasn't what I expected. Why, I asked, why does he care? Valentina busied herself unpacking makeup cases. The Don doesn't do anything without reason. If he chose you, it's because he sees something in you, something important, something worth protecting. He doesn't even know me. Doesn't he? She looked at me directly. I've worked for Don Salvatore for 8 years. I've never seen him take such care with anything. He's been planning this wedding for weeks. Weeks? But he only came to my house last night. Oh, sweet girl, he's been watching you for months. Didn't you know? Ice ran down my spine. Months? The Don is very thorough. When he decides he wants something, he learns everything about it first. And clearly, he decided he wanted you. Long before your father's debt gave him an excuse to take you. I sat down heavily on the bed. That's terrifying. Or romantic, Valentina said, depending on how you look at it. Now come, we have hours of work ahead. Let's make you the most beautiful bride Florence has ever seen. Show the Don he chose well. As she started on my hair, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. I looked terrified. Young, out of my depth. In 9 hours, I'd be married, to a man I didn't know, who'd been watching me for months, who'd bought me with my father's debt, and who, for some unfathomable reason, wanted me to wear his grandmother's wedding dress. I needed to understand, needed to know what Alessandro Salvatore really wanted from me. Because it wasn't just a wife. Men like him could buy 1,000 wives. He wanted something specific, something only I could give him. And I was terrified to find out what it was. As Valentina worked on my makeup and hair, I caught glimpses through the window. Men in suits patrolling the grounds, security cameras everywhere, guards at every entrance. I was in a fortress, a golden cage, and then I saw something that made my heart stop. In the east wing, visible through an open door, an art studio, fully equipped, restoration equipment, magnifying lamps, chemical supplies, everything a professional restorer could want. What is that room? I asked Valentina. She followed my gaze. Ah, the Don had that prepared. He said you'd need it. Something about a damaged painting he wants restored. My breath caught. He built an art studio for me? He built a lot of things for you, Isabella. You just haven't seen them all yet. What kind of man forces you into marriage but prepares an art studio, buys you like property but gives you the tools to pursue your passion? What kind of monster did that? Maybe Alessandro Salvatore wasn't exactly what I thought. Or maybe that was just what he wanted me to think. Either way, in a few hours I'd find out, the hard way. At 3:30 p.m., Signora Russo came to tell me it was time. I stood in front of the mirror in my grandmother-in-law's wedding dress, and I barely recognized myself. The dress fit perfectly. Of course it did. Alessandro had probably known my measurements better than I did. The lace hugged my curves, the pearls caught the light. My hair was styled in soft waves, vintage glamour, Makeup subtle but flawless. Natural beauty enhanced, not hidden. I looked like a bride, a real bride, not a prisoner or a pawn or a payment, and that made it worse somehow. You're beautiful, Valentina whispered, tears in her eyes. The Don is a lucky man. Lucky, right, because forcing a woman to marry you is so lucky. But I didn't say that. What was the point? Signora Russo handed me a bouquet. White roses and calla lilies. Simple, elegant. The flowers were fresh, perfect, probably cost more than my monthly salary. The chapel is ready, Signora Russo said. It's time. Will my family be there? I asked. My sister? The Don thought it best they not attend. This is a private ceremony. Only those close to Don Salvatore will witness it. So I'd marry without my family. Walk down the aisle alone. Appropriate, really. I was alone in this. They led me through the palazzo's corridors. I tried to memorize the path, escape routes, exits, anything useful, but everything looked the same. Frescoed ceilings, marble floors, art everywhere. We reached a set of ornate doors. I could hear music inside. Classical, Pachelbel's canon in D. Traditional wedding music, like this was a normal wedding, a normal day. The doors opened. The chapel was small, maybe seats for 50 people, though only about 20 were filled. Alessandro's inner circle, men in expensive suits, a few women. All of them turned to look at me, and I saw it in their faces. Shock, approval, something like respect. But I wasn't looking at them. I was looking at the altar, at the priest standing there, old, terrified, probably forced to perform this ceremony, at the stained glass windows throwing colored light across the stone floor, and at Alessandro. He stood at the altar in a black tuxedo that probably cost more than a car, custom-made, perfect fit. He looked like he'd stepped out of a Renaissance painting himself, all sharp angles and dangerous beauty. But it was his face that stopped my heart. He was staring at me with an expression I couldn't read. Hunger, possession, admiration, all of the above. His eyes, those terrible, beautiful green eyes, followed my every step as I walked down the aisle alone. No father to give me away, no family to witness, just me and my fate. When I reached the altar, Alessandro extended his hand. I hesitated. This was it, the moment. Once I took his hand, there was no going back. Isabella. My name was a command and a question. Take my hand, trust me, choose me. I placed my hand in his. His fingers closed around mine, warm, strong, not painful, almost gentle. He pulled me up beside him and leaned close to whisper, "You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of beauty." I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. The priest cleared his throat nervously. "We are gathered here today." The ceremony began. It was traditional Catholic, Italian. The words washed over me in waves. I barely heard them. I was too focused on Alessandro's hand holding mine, on his thumb stroking my palm absently like he didn't realize he was doing it. On the way, he never looked away from me, not once. "Do you, Alessandro Salvatore, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" "I do." Firm, clear, no hesitation. Like a business contract, like a vow he intended to keep. "And do you, Isabella Sofia Moretti, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do you part?" Silence. Everyone waited. I felt Alessandro's hand tighten slightly on mine. Not painful, reassuring, warning. Could I do this? Say these words? Bind myself to this man forever? Did I have a choice? I thought about Lucia, about my father, about staying alive, about having any kind of future at all. I looked at Alessandro, really looked at him. His face was calm, but I saw something in his eyes. "Please," that look said, "choose me, choose this, choose us." "I do." The words came out steadier than I felt. Something in Alessandro's expression shifted. Relief? Triumph? Possession? Then by the power vested in me by the Holy Catholic Church, I now pronounce you husband and wife." The priest's voice shook. "You may kiss the bride." Alessandro turned to me fully. His hands came up to frame my face, so gentle I almost couldn't believe these were the hands that had killed over 100 men. "Are you afraid of me, Isabella?" he whispered, too quiet for anyone else to hear. "Yes." "Good. Fear keeps you safe. But know this, I will never hurt you, ever. That's a promise." And then he kissed me. I'd never been kissed before, not really. A few fumbling attempts in university, but nothing real, nothing that mattered. I'd been too focused on my career, my sister, survival. But this was nothing like those awkward kisses. Alessandro kissed me like he was claiming me, like he was branding me, like he was making a promise with his mouth that his words couldn't express. His lips were firm, commanding, but not brutal. He didn't force, didn't take. He claimed yes, but gently, deliberately, like he had all the time in the world and intended to savor every second. One hand stayed on my cheek, the other slid to the small of my back, pulling me closer. I gasped against his mouth, surprise, shock, something else, and he deepened the kiss. Heat flooded through me, sensation I'd never felt, want I didn't understand. Wrong. This was wrong. I shouldn't feel this, shouldn't want this. He bought me, forced me. This was a transaction, not a love story. But my body didn't care about logic. My body responded to his mouth, his hands, his possession. When he finally pulled back, I was breathless, dazed, confused by my own reaction. Alessandro smiled, really smiled, and it transformed his face, made him beautiful instead of just dangerous. "Hello, wife," he murmured. "Hello, husband," I heard myself reply. The chapel erupted in polite applause. We were married. Isabella Salvatore, La Donna of the most feared man in Italy, and I had no idea what happened next. Alessandro tucked my hand into his elbow and led me back down the aisle. His people bowed their heads as we passed. Respect, deference, fear. This was real. This was my life now. We stepped outside into afternoon sunlight. The gardens were beautiful. The air smelled like roses and cypress trees, and I was married to the devil. "Are you okay?" Alessandro asked quietly as we walked toward the reception venue. "I don't know," I admitted. "Are you supposed to ask your prisoner if they're okay?" He stopped walking, turned to face me. "Is that what you think you are? My prisoner? Aren't I?" "No," he said it firmly. "You're my wife, my partner, my equal, and I know you don't believe that yet. But I'll prove it to you. Starting now, at the reception, you are La Donna. My guests will treat you with the utmost respect. If anyone makes you uncomfortable, tell me. I'll handle it." "Handle it how?" His smile was dark. "However necessary. You're under my protection now, Isabella. That means something in my world. It means everything." He started walking again, and I had no choice but to follow. My husband. God, that word felt strange. Husband. Like something from another life, another world. We approached a terrace where music played and people gathered. The reception, where I'd be presented to Alessandro's world as his wife. Where I'd have to pretend this was normal, real, right, and deep down in a place I didn't want to examine. Part of me wondered, what if it could be? What if the devil could be more than a monster? What if I could be more than his prisoner? What if... No, dangerous thoughts, stupid thoughts. This was a transaction, a payment, nothing more. I needed to remember that, before I started believing in fairy tales, before I started believing in him. The reception was held in the Palazzo's grand ballroom, and when I say grand, I mean it rivaled Versailles. Frescoed ceilings depicting scenes from Roman mythology, crystal chandeliers, marble columns, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the gardens, an orchestra playing in the corner, and everywhere, important people. I recognized some faces from newspapers, politicians, business moguls, and others. Others I knew by reputation. The powerful families of Italy, the ones who controlled everything behind the scenes, the Mafia elite. They all stopped talking when we entered. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alessandro's voice rang out, commanding without yelling. "My wife, Isabella Salvatore, La Donna." Applause, polite, respectful, terrified. They bowed their heads, to me, because I was Alessandro's wife, because in this world I was suddenly untouchable. "Come," Alessandro said, leading me to the head table. "You must be exhausted." "I'm fine." I wasn't. I was overwhelmed, terrified, confused. "You're a terrible liar." He pulled out my chair. "Try the champagne. It's from my family's vineyard in Tuscany. My grandfather planted the vines himself." He was being kind, considerate. It was disorienting. Guests approached one by one to offer congratulations. Each one treated me with exaggerated respect. Too much respect. The kind born of fear, not admiration. "La Donna, congratulations." "Signora Salvatore, what a beautiful ceremony." "Don Salvatore, you've chosen well." Alessandro stayed beside me the entire time. His hand on my waist, possessive but not painful, claiming me publicly, showing his world, she's mine, touch her and die. I should have hated it, hated being treated like property on display. But instead, I felt safe, protected. Like as long as Alessandro's hand was on my waist, nothing in this room could hurt me. God, what was wrong with me? "Shall we dance?" Alessandro asked after we'd eaten. "It's tradition." "I'm not a very good dancer." "Then follow my lead. That's all marriage is, really. Following each other's lead until you find your rhythm together." Was he making a metaphor, or just talking about dancing? He led me to the center of the ballroom. The orchestra began a waltz, traditional, romantic, perfect. Alessandro pulled me close, closer than necessary, and began to lead. He was right, he was an excellent dancer. Strong lead, perfect timing, moving me effortlessly across the floor. I focused on following, trying not to think about how good this felt, how right. "You're thinking too hard," he murmured. "I can feel it. Stop analyzing, just feel." "That's not how my brain works." "Then let me ask you something. Distract that beautiful brain of yours." His green eyes locked onto mine. "Why do you restore art? What draws you to broken things?" I blinked, surprised by the question. I like the challenge. Taking something damaged and finding the beauty underneath, bringing it back to what it was meant to be. "And do you believe everything broken can be restored?" "I believe everything deserves the attempt." "Even people?" I understood then. He wasn't asking about art. He was asking about himself. "I don't restore people, Alessandro. I restore paintings." "Don't you?" He spun me, brought me back. "You took a job as an art restorer because you grew up with a broken father, an addict, a gambler, a man who destroyed everything he touched. You spent your whole life trying to fix him, didn't you? Trying to restore him to what he could be. How did he know that? How did he see so clearly into my soul?" "I failed," I whispered. "He's still broken." "But you tried, that's what you do, Isabella. You see potential in broken things and you fight to bring it out. That's why I chose you." I stopped dancing, looked up at him. "What?" "I told you before. You see beauty in broken things. I need someone who can do that, who can look at me, at what I am, what I've done, and still see something worth saving." "Are you saying you're broken?" "I'm saying I'm damaged, like that Caravaggio you saw earlier in the East Gallery. Beautiful once, but ruined by time and incompetent hands. Everyone who's tried to restore me has failed, made me worse, but you—" He pulled me close again, whispered in my ear, "You might actually succeed if you decide I'm worth the effort." Before I could respond, a commotion at the entrance. The music stopped, the crowd parted, and a man walked in who made everyone in the room tense. He was older than Alessandro, maybe early 40s, with slicked back hair and expensive but tasteless clothes. His smile was cruel. His eyes were dead. I felt Alessandro's entire body go rigid beside me. "Carmine Rossi," he said quietly, "my rival and my former friend." Carmine approached with exaggerated cheer. "Alessandro, congratulations on your wedding. So sorry I'm late. Traffic, you know." "You weren't invited, Carmine." "Really? How rude of you. We've known each other since we were boys. Surely I deserve an invitation to your wedding, your second wedding, I should say." The room went silent. "Second wedding?" Alessandro's hand on my waist tightened. Protective. Warning. Leave, Carmine. Now. But I wanted to meet the new Signora Salvatore. Carmine's eyes raked over me like I was meat. Tell me, Isabella, may I call you Isabella? Do you know what happened to the last woman who married Alessandro? Carmine. Alessandro's voice was deadly quiet. Her name was Giulia. Beautiful girl. Sweet. Alessandro married her 7 years ago. Similar arrangement to yours, I believe. Her family owed him money, but Giulia, she wasn't happy. Was she, Alessandro? She tried to run away, and your enemies found her first. He leaned closer to me, his smile cruel. They tortured her for 3 days, sent Alessandro pieces of her, fingers first, then toes, then, "Get out!" Alessandro's voice cracked like a whip. "Before I kill you right here in front of everyone." So sensitive about Giulia, it's almost sweet. But I wonder, does your new wife know that every woman you touch ends up dead? That being Alessandro Salvatore's wife is a death sentence? Alessandro moved faster than I could track. 1 second Carmine was standing, the next he was on the floor, Alessandro's hand around his throat. "You have 3 seconds to leave my home," Alessandro said, his voice inhuman. "Or I'll break your neck right here. Test me." 4 of Alessandro's men appeared, dragging Carmine toward the exit. "You'll regret this, Alessandro," Carmine choked out. "Mark my words. The only thing I regret is not killing you years ago." They threw Carmine out. The doors slammed. Silence. Alessandro turned to the shocked guests, his face composed again like nothing had happened. "My apologies for the disruption. Please continue enjoying yourselves. The night is young." The orchestra started playing again. Conversation resumed, but everyone was shaken. And I was staring at my husband with new eyes. There had been another woman, another wife, who died because of him, and everyone seemed to think I'd be next. Alessandro took my hand. "Come with me. We need to talk." He led me away from the reception, away from the guests, away from the music, into the palazzo, through corridors, upstairs, to a wing I hadn't seen yet. His private rooms, where we'd spend our wedding night. And I was terrified of what I'd learned there. About Giulia, about Alessandro, about what it really meant to be La Donna of the Devil of Florence. I was about to find out the truth, and I wasn't sure I wanted to know it. Alessandro didn't speak as he led me through the palazzo. His hand gripped mine, not painfully but firmly, like he was afraid I'd run if he let go. Maybe I would have. We climbed a grand staircase to the 3rd floor, passed through a doorway guarded by 2 of his men. They nodded and stepped aside. His private wing, where no one was allowed without permission. The bedroom was not what I expected. I'd imagined something overtly masculine, dark, intimidating, a Mafia don's lair. Instead, it was beautiful. Renaissance luxury, yes. 4-poster bed with silk curtains, frescoed ceiling, antique furniture. But also personal. Books everywhere. Art on every wall. A telescope by the window. A chess set mid-game on a side table. This was a room where someone lived, thought, dreamed. A room that revealed the man, not just the monster. Alessandro released my hand and moved to the windows, staring out at the gardens, his back to me, vulnerable somehow, despite the power he radiated. "You can sleep in one of the guest rooms if you prefer," he said quietly. "You don't have to stay here." I blinked. "What?" "I won't force you into my bed, Isabella. Whatever else I am, I'm not that kind of monster." "But you're my husband. People expect—" "I don't care what people expect." He turned to face me, and I was shocked by what I saw in his eyes. Pain. Old, deep pain. "I meant what I said in the chapel. I will never hurt you. That includes forcing you into physical intimacy you don't want." "I don't understand. You forced me to marry you." "Yes, because I needed a wife. My position requires it. But I won't force anything else. Your body, your choices, your life, those remain yours. I won't take what isn't freely given." I stared at him, trying to reconcile the man before me with the monster everyone described. Why? Why would you care about my consent? You clearly don't care about what I want. Because I learned what happens when you don't. His voice went hollow. When you trap someone in a life they didn't choose. When you make them a prisoner instead of a partner. When you're so focused on what you want that you forget they're human too. He walked to a small bar in the corner, poured himself whiskey, downed it in one swallow. "Julia," I said softly. His whole body tensed. "Carmine told you." "He told me she died, that she was tortured, that she tried to run away from you." "All true." Silence. Then, "Tell me," I said. "If we're going to be married, really married, I need to know what happened, who she was, why she haunts you." Alessandro poured another drink, didn't drink it, just stared at the amber liquid. "Sit," he finally said. "This is going to take a while." I sat in an armchair near the window. He sat across from me, and for the first time since I'd met him, Alessandro Salvatore looked human, vulnerable, broken. "Giulia Conte was 19 when I married her," he began. "I was 28. Her father owed me money, similar to your situation, actually. History repeating itself in the cruelest way." He took a breath. "She was beautiful, kind, gentle, everything good in the world, and she was terrified of me, absolutely terrified. On our wedding day, she cried the entire time. I thought it was normal wedding nerves. I was wrong. She was mourning her freedom." "I was different then," Alessandro continued, his voice soft with memory and regret. "Younger, more arrogant. I'd just taken over as Don after my father's death. I was determined to prove myself. To show everyone I was strong, ruthless, uncompromising. I thought that's what leadership meant. I thought fear was respect." He finally took that second drink. "Giulia and I married. We lived in this palazzo, in this room, and she hated every second of it, hated me, not just feared me, truly deeply hated me. But she never said anything. She was too frightened to speak up, too scared to tell me how miserable she was." "How long were you married?" I asked. 8 months. 8 months of slowly destroying a beautiful soul. I'd come home and she'd flinch when I entered the room. I'd reach for her and she'd freeze. I'd try to talk to her and she'd give one-word answers, eyes on the floor waiting for me to dismiss her so she could escape. His hands clenched into fists. I didn't know how to reach her, didn't know how to make her feel safe. So I did what I knew. I gave her things. Jewelry, clothes, money. I thought material comfort would be enough. I thought if I gave her luxury, she'd be happy. But you can't buy happiness. You can't purchase love. And you definitely can't force someone to want you. "What happened?" I whispered, though I dreaded the answer. "One night I came home to find her gone. Vanished. She'd taken nothing. Not the jewels, not the money, nothing. Just ran. I have men everywhere, informants, eyes on every corner of Italy. I found out within hours that she'd made it to the train station, was trying to get to France, to disappear where I couldn't find her." His voice went flat, dead. "But Carmine Rossi, my rival, my former friend, he found her first. He knew she was valuable to me, knew I'd pay anything to get her back. So he took her. Sent me a message. 'I have your wife. She's very talkative. For a price, I'll send her back. Most of her, anyway.' I felt sick. I tried to negotiate," Alessandro said. "Offered him money, territory, anything, but Carmine didn't want payment. He wanted to hurt me, to humiliate me, to prove he could take what was mine, so he couldn't say it. The words stuck in his throat. He tortured her," I finished quietly. "For information. For 3 days. Wanting to know about my operations, my weaknesses, my secrets. And Giulia, she didn't know anything. I'd kept her separate from business, protected her from that world. But Carmine didn't believe her, so he kept hurting her, kept taking pieces, sending them to me with notes. 'Your wife says hello, she's losing weight. Perhaps you should feed her more fingers.' Tears burned behind my eyes, for Giulia, for Alessandro, for the horror of it. On the 3rd day, my men found where Carmine was holding her. We raided the building, killed everyone inside. But we were too late. Julia was... God, Isabella, what they'd done to her. What she'd endured because I forced her into this life. She was alive when you found her? Barely. Conscious enough to recognize me. And do you know what her last words were? I shook my head, tears sliding down my cheeks. Please, she whispered. Please let me go. Let me die. I just want to be free. His voice broke. She didn't want me to save her. She wanted me to let her die, because even death was better than being my wife. That's what I did to her. That's who I was. He stood abruptly, walked to the window, fists pressed against the glass. She died in my arms, 20 years old, tortured to death because I made her marry me, because I thought I could force someone to be mine, because I was too arrogant and stupid to understand that love, real love, has to be freely given. It can't be bought or forced or demanded, and without freedom, there's no love, just slavery dressed up in wedding vows. I stood, walked to him, not touching, but close. Alessandro, that wasn't your fault. Carmine killed her, not you. I made her a target. He whirled to face me, anguish raw on his face. I trapped her in this world. I gave her no choice, no voice, no power. And when she finally got brave enough to run, my enemies used her against me. If I'd never forced her to marry me, she'd still be alive, happy, free. She'd be living a normal life somewhere, maybe married to a good man who actually deserved her. But instead she's dead, because of me. So you swore never again, I said, understanding. Never another forced marriage, never another woman who didn't choose this life. Yes. He turned back to the window. I swore it on her grave. Never again would I trap someone. Never again would I be the cage. Never again would I look into a woman's eyes and see that fear, that hatred, that desperate need to escape. Then why did you force me? I asked. Why break your own vow? Silence. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. Because I'm a hypocrite. Because I need a wife for political reasons. My position demands it. My rivals circle like sharks, sensing weakness, and I couldn't find another solution. Because I told myself you were different, stronger, not fragile like Julia. That you could handle this world, this life, this marriage. That you wouldn't break. He finally looked at me. But mostly because the moment I saw you in that gallery, restoring that painting, so focused and passionate and alive, I wanted you. Not just as a political necessity, I wanted you. And I'm selfish enough, weak enough, monstrous enough to take what I want. Even knowing what it cost last time. Even knowing I'm repeating the same sin. Even knowing... He stopped, swallowed hard. Even knowing you might hate me for it, just like Julia did. The confession hung between us, raw, honest, painful. I should have been furious, should have thrown his guilt back in his face, should have condemned him for forcing me into this marriage knowing what he'd done before. But instead, I felt something unexpected, pity, not for myself. For him, for this man who'd loved someone so badly he killed her, who carried that guilt like a stone around his neck, who swore never again and then broke his own vow because he was human, flawed, weak in ways that power couldn't hide. I'm not Julia, I said quietly. He looked at me sharply. I'm not fragile. I'm not gentle. I'm not going to break, Alessandro. You want to know the difference between her and me? I stepped closer. She was trapped, powerless. Couldn't even speak up about her own misery. But me, I'm angry. I'm furious at my father, at this situation, at you, and I'm not going to suffer in silence. If you do something I hate, I'll tell you. If you cross a line, I'll fight back. If you make me miserable, you'll know it. Every single day. A ghost of a smile touched his lips. I'm counting on it. And I'm not running away. You know why? Why? Because I restore broken things for a living. And you, Alessandro Salvatore, are the most broken thing I've ever seen. Maybe I can fix you. Or maybe you're too far gone. But I'm going to try because that's what I do. I don't give up on damaged art, and I don't give up on damaged people. He stared at me like I was a miracle, or an impossibility, or both. You're not afraid of me, he whispered. Oh, I'm terrified of you. But fear doesn't mean running. Sometimes it means standing your ground and fighting back, and that's what I'm going to do. Fight you, challenge you, make you prove that you can be more than the monster everyone says you are. And if I can't, if I'm not capable of being more, then I'll leave. You said I could. You said when I've had enough, you'd let me go. So here's the deal. I'll stay. I'll try to make this marriage work. But the moment you become the monster who trapped Julia, the moment you try to cage me instead of partner with me, I'm gone. And you'll keep your word and let me go. I promise, he said immediately. I swear it on Julia's memory. You'll always have the choice to leave. Then we have a deal. I extended my hand, businesslike, formal. He took it, shook it, smiled, really smiled for the second time that day. You're extraordinary, Isabella Salvatore. I'm practical. There's a difference. Now. I pulled my hand back. You promised me I could sleep in a guest room if I wanted. I'd like to take you up on that offer. It's been a very long day and I need space to process everything. Disappointment flickered across his face, but he nodded. Of course. I'll have Signora Russo prepare the room next door. It connects to this one through that door. He pointed. So if you need anything, just knock. I'll hear you. Thank you. He escorted me to the door, the gentleman again, courteous, respectful. But before I left, he caught my hand. Isabella? Yes? Thank you. For listening, for understanding, for not running, for giving me a chance I don't deserve. Don't make me regret it. I'll try my best not to. I went to the guest room. It was beautiful, smaller than Alessandro's suite, but luxurious, comfortable, safe. I changed into the nightgown that had been laid out, silk, elegant, not revealing, and climbed into bed, and lay there staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. I'd married a monster who wasn't quite a monster, a man haunted by his past, a man who'd killed his first wife through carelessness and cruelty and was desperate not to repeat the mistake, a man who'd given me freedom even as he trapped me, a man who looked at me like I was art, something beautiful, something worth preserving. And God help me, part of me wanted to be worth it, wanted to prove I could restore him, make him better, take this broken, dangerous, damaged man and show him what he could be if he just chose differently. It was insane, stupid, dangerous. But it was also intriguing. What would it be like to be loved by Alessandro Salvatore? Really loved, not feared or obeyed or worshipped from a distance, but truly, deeply loved by a man who'd learned the cost of taking love for granted? What would it be like to be his queen? Not his prisoner, his equal? Was it even possible? I didn't know, but I was going to find out. I fell asleep that night more confused than ever. The monster everyone feared had just poured out his soul to me, had told me his darkest secret, had given me freedom even as he bound me to him. And I realized something terrifying. I was starting to understand him, starting to see past the devil to the man underneath, starting to wonder what we could be if we both chose it. But the world doesn't care about choices or understanding or second chances. The world cares about power and survival and blood. And the very next morning, I'd learned that being Alessandro Salvatore's wife wasn't just about him. It was about everyone who wanted to destroy him. And now, I was the easiest target they had. I woke to sunlight streaming through tall windows and the smell of coffee. For a moment, just a moment, I forgot where I was, forgot everything, thought maybe it had all been a nightmare. Then I saw the silk nightgown, the Renaissance luxury, the door connecting to Alessandro's room. Right. I'd married the devil yesterday, and somehow survived the night. I dressed in clothes that had been laid out, elegant pants, a soft sweater, comfortable but expensive. Everything fit perfectly. Of course it did. Alessandro had known my size, had prepared everything. Had been planning this for months, Valentina said. The thought should have terrified me. Instead, it made me curious. What kind of man plans a forced marriage for months? What kind of man cares that deeply about details? I found my way downstairs following the smell of coffee and fresh bread. The palazzo looked different in daylight, less intimidating, more beautiful. Art everywhere. History in every corner. A home, I realized, not just a fortress. Someone actually lived here, created beauty here. Alessandro was in the breakfast room, reading a newspaper, espresso at his elbow. He wore casual clothes, black pants, white shirt rolled to his elbows, no jacket, no tie, more relaxed than I'd seen him. He looked up when I entered and smiled. Buongiorno, moglie mia. Good morning, my wife. Good morning, marito mio, my husband. The words still felt strange. Did you sleep well? Yes, actually. That bed is incredibly comfortable. Good. Sit. Eat. Signora Russo made her famous cornetti. You'll love them. I sat, poured coffee, took a pastry. Flaky, buttery, perfect. We ate in comfortable silence. Comfortable. How was this comfortable? How was I sitting here having breakfast with a Mafia don like it was normal? What are you thinking? Alessandro asked, watching me over his espresso. That this is surreal. Yesterday I was a museum restorer living in a tiny apartment. Today I'm having breakfast in a Renaissance palazzo with the most feared man in Italy. It's disorienting. I imagine so. Would it help if I explained your new life? What being La Donna entails? That would be useful, yes? He set down his cup. First, your safety is paramount. You don't leave the estate without security. Ever. I have enemies, Isabella. Many enemies. Now that you're my wife, you're a target. Understand? I nodded. Second, you have complete autonomy over domestic matters. The household staff answers to Signora Russo, but she answers to you. This is your home. Run it how you wish. Okay. Third, you're not a prisoner. You can go into Florence whenever you want, with security, to visit museums, shops, see your sister. I won't keep you locked up. I'm not a jailer. What about my job? Ah, that. I'd prefer if you resigned from the Uffizi. It's a security risk. Too public. Too many variables I can't control. But he held up a hand as I started to protest. I had the art studio prepared for you, and I have a proposition. What kind of proposition? You saw the Caravaggio yesterday, the damaged one in the East Gallery. It's been in my family for 4 generations, my mother's favorite painting. Every expert I've consulted has either refused to touch it or made it worse. But you're brilliant at restoration. I've seen your work at the museum. You're the best I've ever encountered. He leaned forward, intense. Restore it for me. Take as long as you need. Use whatever materials you require. Make it beautiful again. And I'll pay you what you were making at the museum. This can be your work, your purpose. You won't lose your career. You'll just practice it here, in safety, on art that matters to me, to my family, to my mother's memory. I stared at him. You'd pay me to restore one painting? I'd pay you to restore all of them if you wanted. I have over 200 pieces in this collection, some damaged, some poorly restored, some just needing preservation. You could spend years here and never run out of work. Be my private restorer, be the guardian of my family's art, be... He stopped. Something flickered in his eyes. Be part of this family, really part of it. Not just a wife in name, a partner in preserving what matters most to me. The offer was generous, more than generous. He was giving me my career back, my purpose, my passion, and asking me to tie it to him, to his family, to this life, making me complicit, making me invested, making me his. Smart, very smart. Can I see the painting? I asked. Before I decide? Of course, come. He stood, extended his hand. I took it, and he led me through the palazzo to the East Gallery. The room was long, lined with paintings, Renaissance masters, Baroque beauties, centuries of Italian art, valuable beyond measure. And at the end, on its own wall, the Caravaggio. I walked toward it slowly, reverently, drew closer, studied it. It was the sacrifice of Isaac, Abraham preparing to kill his son, the angel stopping him, dramatic, violent, tender, classic Caravaggio, and someone had butchered the restoration. Oh no, I whispered. Oh no, what did they do? 3 different restorers have worked on it over the past 20 years, Alessandro said behind me. Each one made it worse. The last one used modern chemicals that damaged the original paint. I fired him. Haven't let anyone touch it since. I couldn't look away. Despite the damage, the painting was magnificent. The emotion, the drama, the humanity. And it was savable, difficult, painstaking. Would take months, but possible. I'll do it, I heard myself say. You will? On one condition. Name it. You never question my methods, never rush me, never interfere. This painting deserves respect, deserves time. Deserves to be restored properly, not quickly. Can you promise that? Alessandro stepped beside me, looking at the painting, at his mother's favorite. I promise. Take all the time you need. Just bring her back. Bring the beauty back. Show me what it was meant to be. We stood there together, looking at the damaged Caravaggio, at broken beauty waiting to be restored, and I realized he wasn't just talking about the painting. We'd been discussing restoration techniques for maybe 20 minutes when I heard it. Pop. Pop, pop. Distant. Muffled. But unmistakable to anyone who'd grown up in Florence near Mafia territory. Gunfire. Alessandro's entire demeanor changed in an instant. Went from relaxed husband to lethal Don. Get down. He pushed me behind a marble column. Stay here. Don't move. What's happening? We're under attack. He pulled a gun from somewhere. How had I not noticed he was armed? And moved toward the gallery entrance. Antonio, code red, secure La Donna. More gunfire, closer, inside the palazzo, shouting, men's voices screaming. This was real. This was happening. Someone was attacking Alessandro's home, trying to kill him, trying to kill me. Antonio burst into the gallery, Alessandro's second in command, gun drawn, blood on his shirt. Don Salvatore, Rossi family, 20 men. They breached the north gate. We're holding them, but... Explosion. The windows shattered, glass everywhere. Alessandro covered me with his body as shards rained down. How did they breach the gate? Inside help. Someone betrayed us. Alessandro's face went cold, murderous. Who? Don't know yet. But they're coming for La Donna. They want leverage. Want to take her like Julia. Alessandro's voice was death. Not happening. Never again. He turned to me. Isabella, listen carefully. Antonio is going to get you to the safe room. It's reinforced. Protected. You'll be secure there until this is over. What about you? I'm ending this. Permanently. He kissed my forehead, quick, desperate, then looked at Antonio. Protect her with your life. If anything happens to her, I'll kill you myself. Understand? Sir! Antonio grabbed my arm. Come on, we need to move, now. We ran. Through corridors I didn't recognize, downstairs, through a kitchen where staff huddled, terrified, into a wine cellar. Antonio moved a rack, revealed a hidden door, a passage. This leads to the safe room, he said, pushing me forward. It's... Bang, bang, bang. Antonio grunted, stumbled. Blood bloomed across his shoulder. I turned to see 4 men in the corridor behind us. Strangers, guns raised, smiling. Well, well, one said. La Donna, Alessandro's new toy. Boss will be pleased. Antonio tried to raise his gun. They shot him again. He went down. I ran. Into the passage. Into darkness. Running blind, hands on stone walls, terror giving me speed. Behind me, footsteps, laughter. They were hunting me. Come out, pretty lady. We just want to talk. Maybe take a few pictures to send to your husband. Nothing personal. The passage ended. I burst into a room, the wine cellar, old bottles in racks, dim lighting. A dead end, no other exit. Trapped. The 4 men entered behind me, blocking the only way out. Nowhere to run, Signora Salvatore, the leader said. He was young, maybe 25, with dead eyes. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Come quietly, and maybe we won't hurt you. Much. I backed up, knocked into wine racks. Bottles rattled. Carmine Rossi sent you? I asked, stalling. Smart girl. Yeah, he's been planning this since the wedding. Waited for the dawn to let his guard down. And here we are. Now. He stepped forward. Bang. His head snapped back. Blood. He collapsed. Bang, bang, bang. 3 more shots. 3 more bodies. And there, standing in the entrance to the wine cellar like an avenging angel, was Alessandro, covered in blood, face twisted with rage, gun still smoking, and behind him, at least 10 of his men, armed, lethal. But all I could see was Alessandro. He stepped over the bodies without looking at them and came straight to me. Are you hurt? His hands were on my face, my shoulders, checking for injuries. Did they touch you? Isabella, answer me. I'm fine, I'm okay, they didn't... He pulled me into his arms, crushed me against his chest. I felt his heart hammering, felt him shaking. I thought I was too late, he whispered into my hair. I thought, God, Isabella, I thought I'd lost you. Like Julia, like, I'm here. I'm okay. You saved me. He pulled back, cupped my face, looked at me with wild eyes. I will never let anything happen to you. Never. Do you understand? Anyone who tries to hurt you will die. Everyone. I'll burn Italy to the ground before I let someone take you from me. The intensity terrified me, but also felt right. Like someone finally seeing me as worth protecting, worth fighting for, worth everything. What about Antonio? I asked. He was shot protecting me. He'll live. My men got to him. He's tough. Alessandro's jaw clenched. And he did his job. Protected what's mine. I'll reward him well. He kept his arm around me as his men secured the area, cleared bodies, assessed damage. How many? Alessandro asked one of his lieutenants. 23 Rossi men, all dead. We lost 4, 12 wounded. The traitor was Marco in security. He's alive, waiting for your judgment. Good. I'll deal with him personally. Alessandro's voice was ice. And Carmine? Gone. Fled when the attack failed. We're hunting him. Find him. I want him alive. He's going to pay for this, for threatening my wife, for Julia, for everything. Bring him to me. Yes, Don Salvatore. Alessandro led me back through the palazzo. The damage was extensive. Broken windows, bullet holes, blood. The beautiful home had become a battlefield. I'm sorry, he said quietly as we climbed the stairs. This is the life I warned you about. This is what being my wife means. Violence, danger, always looking over your shoulder. You protected me, I said. You came for me. Always, I will always come for you, no matter what. We reached his private wing. He took me to his room, not the guest room, his room, and sat me on the bed. Stay here. I need to handle the aftermath, secure the property, question the traitor, hunt down Carmine. But you... He knelt before me, took my hands. You stay here, where it's safe, where I know exactly where you are. Promise me. I promise. There are guns in the nightstand, the desk, behind the mirror. If anyone comes through that door who isn't me or Antonio, shoot first. Don't hesitate, understand? I nodded, overwhelmed. He stood. Kissed my forehead again, started to leave. Alessandro? He turned. Thank you. For protecting me. For not letting them take me. For... You're my wife, he said simply. My queen. I'd die before I let anyone hurt you. Remember that, Isabella. Whatever else you doubt about me, about us, about this marriage, never doubt that I will protect you with my last breath. That's a vow I'll never break. And then he was gone, leaving me alone in his room, surrounded by guns and luxury and the aftermath of violence, trying to process everything. This morning I'd been worried about restoring a painting. Now I'd nearly been kidnapped, tortured, used against my husband, just like Julia. But unlike Julia, Alessandro had saved me in time, had come for me, fought for me, killed for me, because I was his wife, his queen, his to protect. And God help me, I was starting to believe it, starting to feel it, starting to want it. Not the violence, not the danger, but the certainty, the devotion, the absolute conviction that someone would fight the world to keep me safe. I'd never had that before, never been anyone's priority, never been worth fighting for, until now, until Alessandro. I stayed in that room for hours, listening to shouting below, gunfire in the distance, men hunting Carmine Rossi, and I realized something that should have terrified me. I wasn't thinking about escape, wasn't plotting ways to get away from Alessandro, from this life, from this marriage. I was worried about him, about whether he was safe, about whether he'd come back to me. I was starting to care about the devil, and that was the most dangerous thing of all, because in 24 hours, Alessandro Salvatore had done what I thought was impossible. He'd made me want to stay, made me want this, made me want him. And tonight, when he came back, if he came back, I was going to tell him. I was going to choose him, choose this, choose us, for real this time. Not because I had to, because I wanted to. He came back to me at sunset. I'd spent the day in his room, alternating between worry and wonder, Signora Russo brought me food, updates, reassurances that Don Salvatore was fine, was handling things, would return soon. But I needed to see him, needed to know he was alive, whole, safe. When the door finally opened and Alessandro walked in, I almost cried with relief. He looked exhausted, still had blood on his clothes, his, theirs. I couldn't tell. But he was alive, standing, looking at me like I was the only thing that mattered. Isabella. My name was a prayer. I stood, crossed to him, and before I could think, before logic could interfere, I threw my arms around him. He caught me, held me, buried his face in my hair. "I'm okay," he murmured. "I'm okay. We're safe. It's over." Carmine? Dead. My men found him 2 hours ago. He won't hurt anyone ever again. His arms tightened. "You're safe now. I promise. You're safe." We stood there for a long moment, just holding each other, just breathing. Then I pulled back enough to look at him. "You need to clean up. You're covered in blood." "I know. I'm sorry. I should have changed before coming to you. I just needed to see you. Needed to know you were really okay." "I'm okay because of you." I touched his face gently. "You saved me, Alessandro, just like you promised. I'll always save you. Always." He caught my hand, kissed my palm. "But I need to tell you something. About today. About what happened." "What?" "The traitor, Marco. He confessed before he died. Carmine paid him a fortune to betray me, to let the Rossi soldiers in. And do you know what his assignment was?" I shook my head. "To take you alive, to kidnap you, to hold you hostage until I gave Carmine what he wanted, my territory, my business, my life. They were going to use you against me, torture you if necessary, send me pieces of you until I broke." His voice went hard, just like they did with Julia, history repeating, the same play, the same stakes, the same threat. And I realized something today when I thought I might lose you. "What?" "That I can't do this, can't keep you in this world, can't risk your life for my pride, my power, my position." "You deserve better than this, better than me, better than a life where you're always in danger." My stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm letting you go." The words hung between us, a sword falling. "What?" I breathed. "The annulment papers are being drawn up. You can leave. Go back to your life. I'll give you money, enough to never worry. I'll protect you from a distance. Your family will be safe. But you don't have to stay married to me. Don't have to be in danger. Don't have to—" "Stop." I pulled away from him. "Just stop." "Isabella, did I ask you to let me go?" "No, but did I say I wanted out? That I wanted to leave?" "You didn't have to say it. Today proved that being my wife is a death sentence. I won't do that to you. Won't make the same mistake twice. Won't—" "You're not making a mistake." My voice rose. "You're making a choice for me without asking what I want, just like you did when you forced me to marry you. You're doing it again." He stared at me, shocked. "So let me ask you, Alessandro, what do I want? Do you even know? Have you even asked?" I assumed you'd want freedom. You assumed. Just like you assumed I'd hate you. Just like you assumed I was like Julia, fragile and scared and desperate to escape. But I'm not Julia. I'm Isabella. And maybe you should ask me what I want instead of deciding for me." His jaw worked. "Fine. What do you want, Isabella?" I took a breath. This was it, the moment, the choice. "I want to stay." Silence. "I want to restore your Caravaggio. I want to live in this beautiful palazzo and take care of this art. I want to learn how to be La Donna. I want to stand beside you as your wife, really your wife, not just in name." I stepped closer to him. "I want to wake up every morning in your arms. I want to fight with you when you're being stubborn. I want to challenge you when you're being an idiot. I want to help you be better than the monster everyone thinks you are." Closer still. "And most of all, I want you to stop trying to protect me from this life and start letting me choose it. I'm not leaving, Alessandro, not today, not because of an attack, not because of danger. I'm staying, because I want to." "Isabella," his voice was rough with emotion, "you don't know what you're saying. Today was terrifying. The next attack will be worse. They'll keep coming for you as long as you're my wife. Then you'll keep protecting me, and I'll keep restoring broken things, including you. That's the deal. That's the marriage. Are you brave enough to accept it, or are you going to keep trying to save me from yourself? He stared at me for a long, loaded moment. Then he closed the distance between us, cupped my face in his blood-stained hands, looked at me with those devastating green eyes. Are you sure? Absolutely certain? Because if I keep you, Isabella, if I let myself have you, I won't let go. Ever. You'll be mine. Completely. Permanently. There's no halfway with me. You're in or you're out. Choose. I smiled. I choose in. Thank God. And he kissed me. Not like at the wedding, controlled, claiming, deliberate. This was different. Desperate, grateful, real. He kissed me like I was oxygen and he'd been drowning. Like I was home and he'd been lost. Like I was everything and he'd been nothing. And I kissed him back with everything I had. Choosing him, choosing this, choosing us. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathless. You need to shower, I said. You're still covered in blood. Will you help me? The question was vulnerable, intimate, trusting. Yes. He led me to the bathroom, marble, gold, luxury, and began undressing, removing the blood-stained clothes, revealing the man beneath. Scars, so many scars. A history of violence written on skin, but also strength, beauty, humanity. I helped him into the shower, washed the blood away, cleaned the wounds, minor, thankfully, tended to him the way he'd tended to me. And when we were both clean, when the blood and violence were washed away, he wrapped me in a towel and carried me to his bed. Isabella, he whispered, laying me down gently. I need to know you're sure about this. About us. About tonight. Because if we cross this line, I'm sure. I pulled him down to me. Show me. Show me what it means to be yours. Really yours. And he did. I woke wrapped in Alessandro's arms, sunlight streaming through the windows, feeling more alive than I'd ever felt. Last night had been... God, I didn't have words. Perfect. Devastating. Real. Alessandro had been gentle, patient, worshipful. He'd taken his time, made sure I felt safe, made it beautiful despite the violence of the day. And afterward, he'd held me, just held me, whispered promises in Italian, called me his heart, his soul, his salvation. I'd fallen asleep feeling cherished, protected, chosen. Now, in the morning light, I studied him. His face was relaxed in sleep, younger, the hard edges softened. He looked almost innocent, almost. His eyes opened, caught me staring, smiled. Buongiorno, moglie mia. Buongiorno, marito mio. How do you feel? His hand stroked my hair. Are you okay? I wasn't too... You were perfect. I kissed him. Everything was perfect. Relief flooded his face. I was worried. Didn't want to hurt you. Wanted it to be... It was. Stop worrying. I settled back against his chest. So, what now? What does the day after the night after the wedding look like for us? He laughed. Breakfast. Then I show you the rest of the estate. Then you start work on the Caravaggio. Then tonight. We repeat last night. Many, many times. Ambitious. I'm a very ambitious man. He kissed my temple. But first, there's something I need to do. Something I should have done yesterday. What? Call your sister. Let you talk to her. Reassure her you're okay. She must be terrified. Tears burned my eyes. He'd thought of Lucia, of my family, of what I needed. Thank you. He handed me his phone. Take all the time you need. I'll order breakfast. I called Lucia. She answered on the first ring. Bella? Bella, is that you? Are you okay? Papa said you married some man, but he won't tell me anything, and I'm so scared. Lucia, breathe. I'm fine. I'm safe. Everything is okay. Are you lying? Are you in danger? Should I call the police? No, no police. Lucia, listen. Yes, I married someone. Quickly. To solve Papa's problem. But I'm okay. He treats me well. He's actually kind, I promise. Is he forcing you to say this? I looked at Alessandro across the room. He was watching me, giving me space, trusting me. No, I'm choosing this, choosing him. I know it's fast and weird and you have questions, but trust me. I'm okay, and I want you to come visit soon. Meet him. See where I live. It's beautiful here, Lucia. You'll love it. We talked for an hour. I explained what I could, omitted what would terrify her, made promises to see her soon. When I hung up, Alessandro was beside me immediately. How is she? Scared, confused. But okay. Thank you for letting me call her. She's your sister, your family. Of course you can talk to her. Actually, he pulled me close. I was thinking, she could come live here if she wanted, if your father can't care for her properly. We have space. I have money for the best schools. She could have opportunities. Be safe. What do you think? I stared at him. You'd take in my teenage sister? She's your family. That makes her my family. And families protect each other, so yes, if she wants to come, she's welcome. I'll have a room prepared. Alessandro. I didn't know what to say. That's incredibly generous. It's practical. She needs stability. You need your family close. I need you happy. This solves all three problems. You're not as heartless as everyone thinks, are you? Don't let it get around. I have a reputation to maintain. He smiled. Now come. Breakfast. Then I want to show you something. We ate. Then he led me through the palazzo to a room I hadn't seen. He opened the door, stepped aside. Your art studio. Properly equipped. Everything you could need. The Caravaggio is already in here waiting for you. This is yours, Isabella. Your space, your work, your passion. No one enters without your permission. Not even me. The studio was perfect. North-facing light, restoration equipment, chemicals, tools. The Caravaggio mounted on a proper easel, waiting. I don't know what to say. Say you'll stay. Say you'll restore beauty here. Say you'll build a life with me. That's all I want. I already said yes. Say it again. I need to hear it again. I turned to face him. I'll stay. I'll restore your art. I'll build a life with you. I choose this. I choose you. Every day. For as long as you'll have me. He pulled me into his arms. Forever then. I'll have you forever. And in that moment, surrounded by art and possibility and this man who was learning to be more than his past, I believed him. We could have forever. We could have love. We could have everything. We just had to choose it every day together. They say you can't fall in love in 24 hours. They say arranged marriages never work. They say monsters can't change, that the devil can't learn to love, that broken men stay broken. They're wrong. 3 months after I married Alessandro Salvatore, I stood in the restored art gallery, looking at my completed work. The Caravaggio. The Sacrifice of Isaac. Restored. Perfect. Beautiful. Every crack repaired. Every damaged section carefully brought back to life. Every layer of bad restoration removed to reveal the master's original intention. It had taken weeks of delicate work, patient care, loving attention to detail. But now it was whole again, just like the man who'd asked me to restore it. It's finished. I turned to find Alessandro standing in the doorway, looking at the painting with wonder. It's perfect, he breathed. God, Isabella, it's exactly how I remember it. From when I was a boy, before it was damaged, before everything went wrong. You brought it back. You actually brought it back. That's what I do. I restore broken things. He crossed the room, stood beside me, stared at his mother's favorite painting, now whole again. She would have loved this, he whispered. Would have loved you. For caring enough to do this right. For seeing what it could be instead of what it was. Is that what you think I did with you? Saw what you could be? You saw who I could be, and you loved me anyway, even when I didn't deserve it, even when I was still learning, still failing, still being that broken man who didn't know how to love properly. I took his hand. You're learning, every day, that's all anyone can do. I have a good teacher. We stood there, looking at restored beauty, both of us thinking about how far we'd come in 3 months. Lucia had moved into the palazzo 2 weeks after the wedding. She attended the best private school in Florence now, had her own room, her own studio for dance practice. She and Alessandro had a cautious but growing relationship. He treated her like a little sister, protective but respectful. My father, we were working on that. Slowly, He was in rehab for gambling addiction. Alessandro was paying for it. Not because he forgave Marco, but because I asked. Because family mattered. Because second chances mattered. The estate was secure again. Alessandro's rivals knew better than to come for his wife. The lesson had been clear. Touch La Donna and die. And me? I was happy. Genuinely, surprisingly, impossibly happy. I worked on the art collection, had already restored 6 pieces, with dozens more to go. I had purpose, passion, my career back, just in a different form. I had a husband who adored me, who listened when I challenged him, who was learning to be gentle alongside strong, who kissed me every morning like I was precious. I had a home, a family, a life, not the life I'd planned, but somehow better. Isabella? I love you. I turned to look at him. He'd said it before, in whispers during passion, in quiet moments, in Italian and English, and every language his heart knew, but it never stopped making my breath catch. I love you too. I need to ask you something. What? He took both my hands, looked nervous. Alessandro Salvatore, the devil of Florence, nervous. These past 3 months, they've been the best of my life. You've changed everything, made me better, made me want to be better. And I know our marriage started as a transaction, a debt paid, a forced arrangement, but it's become so much more than that, at least to me. To me too. So I want to ask you something I should have asked 3 months ago, something I want to do right this time. And then, to my shock, Alessandro Salvatore dropped to one knee. What are you doing? I gasped. What I should have done before, giving you a choice, a real choice. He pulled out a small velvet box, opened it. Inside, a ring. Antique. Beautiful. A ruby surrounded by diamonds. This was my grandmother's. The woman whose dress you wore. She had a real love marriage. 53 years with my grandfather. The kind of love I want with you. Tears blurred my vision. Isabella Moretti Salvatore, will you marry me? Again, not because of debt or force or necessity, but because you choose me, because you want this, because you love me the way I love you, will you? We're already married, I laughed through tears. I know, but I'm asking for your choice, for your free consent, for you to choose me the way I choose you, every day, forever. Will you marry me, Isabella? Really marry me? I dropped to my knees in front of him, cupped his face, looked into those green eyes that had once terrified me and now felt like home. Yes, 1,000 times yes. I choose you, I choose this, I choose us. He slid the ring onto my finger. It fit perfectly, of course, and kissed me with everything he had. When we finally broke apart, he was smiling, really smiling, the smile that transformed his whole face. Then let's do it properly this time, a real wedding. With your sister, your father if you want, our families, our friends. A celebration, not a contract. What do you think? I think that sounds perfect. Good, because I want to stand in front of everyone and tell them, this is my wife, my choice, my love, my queen. And this time, she chose me back. I did choose you back. I choose you every day. And I'll spend every day proving I'm worthy of that choice. He pulled me to my feet, held me close, and we stood there in the gallery, surrounded by restored art, both of us whole again. Thank you, he whispered, for seeing beauty in this broken thing, for not giving up on me, for choosing to stay when you could have run, for loving me when I didn't deserve it. Thank you, Isabella, for everything. Thank you for choosing me first, for seeing something in me worth fighting for giving me this life, this love, this chance to be your queen. Always, you'll always be my queen, my heart, my salvation. We kissed again, tender, loving, real. And I thought about the terrified girl who'd walked down that aisle 3 months ago, who'd married a monster, who'd thought her life was ending. She'd been wrong. That wasn't an ending, it was a beginning, the beginning of everything. People ask me sometimes, do you regret it? Marrying Alessandro Salvatore? Being forced into this life? And I tell them the truth. I regret how it started. I regret that I didn't have a choice. I regret that my father's weakness put me in that position. But I don't regret where I ended up. Because yes, I married the most dangerous man in Italy. Not by choice, but I fell in love with him by choice. Every single day I choose him, and he chooses me. We're not perfect. We fight, we struggle. We're both learning how to be partners instead of prisoner and captor. But we're learning together, growing together, building something beautiful from something broken, just like I restore art, just like he restored me, just like we restored each other. My name is Isabella Salvatore, La Donna of the Italian Mafia, wife of the Devil of Florence. And this is how I became his queen, not in 24 hours. That was just the beginning. But in every hour since, in every choice to stay, in every moment of choosing love over fear, in every restoration of something broken, every layer of damage removed, every revelation of beauty underneath, that's how you become a queen, not by force, but by choice, by seeing the monster and loving the man underneath. By being the broken thing that gets restored while restoring someone else, by choosing love every day, even when it's hard, even when it's terrifying, even when the world says you're crazy for loving the devil, because sometimes the devil just needs someone brave enough to love him back. And I am, I will be, forever. I married the most dangerous man in Italy, and I fell in love with him by choice. This is our story, and it's only just beginning.